What's going on, guys? You got Logan Ham Sandwich here with my updated Centur-Ion White Forest deck profile post-September ban list. Highly requested. Of course, I wouldn't leave you guys in the dark on this, but wanted to at least put a couple videos out of the performance of the deck before I went into the details here. Not a whole lot of changes to the deck post-ban list. Of course, we lost Calamity, which is great. We no longer have to rely on that card, and the skill testing becomes much better. But other than that, I think probably skill drain is probably the next biggest loss in this deck. But I'm going to hop right into the main deck here. Not a whole lot's changed in terms of the engine or engines here. So we got 3 Stellar, 3 LZ, 2 Sylvie, 1 Rusia, and then I'll just put up the rest of the White Forests here. 1 Tails, 1 Woes, still pretty standard for a non-pure or non-runic build. I think pure probably wants to run one more Sylvie. Runic doesn't run a Stellar, but for the Centur-Ion build, this is still pretty standard. You got basically 5 normal summons within your White Forest engine, which is pretty good ratios. So I think there's no really reason to change that. Toy engine, of course, you see it, it's busted. 2 soldier, 1 tank, and 3 box. I don't want to do three soldier in this deck because I think it can be a little bricky, give or take. So I just choose to run 2. Usually I'm siding out the second one if I'm going second, but I think these ratios are still fine. And then for these Centur-Ions, still on 1 Primera, 1 Trudeo, 1 Gargoyle. And then I'm still choosing to run 3 stand-up, no Emblama. Emblama, I keep forgetting the lock, which is going to screw me over in an official tournament standpoint. I think if you want to see stand-up more often, you can run 3 stand-up, 1 Emblama, or 2 and 2, or 3 Emblama, 1 stand-up. I think any ratio is fine, really. I just choose to run 3 stand-up to cut down a little bit on the engine so I can fit in more non-engine. This is a 42 card deck, and of course Wake Up and Phalanx. Phalanx, you could argue, could be cut, but with Nibiru being more prevalent in the format now, I think Phalanx is still pretty good to hold on to, because if you get nibbed after doing Centur-Ion combo plus White Forest combo, you can still get Phalanx or get Auxilla back and at least set up a Blazar on the opponent's turn. So I think that is still fine. And then I'm going to jump over here to the non-engine real quick. For the non-engine, 3 Ash Blossom, put this back in the main, 3 Nibiru, 3 Bestials, 1 Ball Drink, 1 Druisworm, 1 Magnemite, 1 Veiler, because it's searchable. You could argue running Veiler at 2. If you want to see it more often, I just choose to run 1. 3 Droplet, Called By, and 3 Imperm. That's 17 non-engine and 42 cards. Decently consistent to C2. I've tried to screw around with getting more non-engine in there, but it kind of messes with your ratios. And then obviously I've done a 45 card build. That's what I did for the regional, which was fine, but I think consolidating a little bit to 42, so you kind of like find that sweet spot to lessen the bricks, is pretty good. All these are good, especially now post ban list. Nibiru is insane, and against like Fiendsmith Snake Eye, especially Nibiru plus a Bestial. If they have Fiendsmith first, you can stop them getting the Wave King, and then just Nibiru the board, and they can't really do anything about it. Droplet to stop Rudras, Desiree, Phantom of Yubel, all the usual stuff. You can even use it in battle phase against Tenpai to stop them from synchro summoning if you have a monster, which is pretty good. So yeah, no real complaints here. I think pre-ban list for the regional, I was doing 2 Veiler, 2 Ogre. I think Ogre is still great. We'll see that in the side here momentarily. But I think the non-engine is pretty good here. Gonna hop over to the extra deck, and not a lot of changes here. We are still on the 1 Auxilla, the 1 Legatia, the Crimson Dragon package, now with 2 Cosmic Blazar, can't wait for the QCR out of the Megatons. It's going to look so good with the rest of the Crimson Dragon line there. You could argue running one Blazar, one Supernova. I think Red Supernova is fine now. It's a board wipe that advances everything, and you have so many tuners that it becomes just very large in the grave, or very large from the grave, rather. But I think Supernova is probably better in pure, so you can fit both, or pure Centur-Ion, so you can fit both 2 Blazars and Supernova itself. Still on the Gen X with the Immortal Dragon. It saves you 1 extra deck slot instead of going into Dragoon to stop Nibiru. And with Arms of Gen X, with your non-engine and your engine, you pretty commonly get Fire, Light, and Dark in the grave. So, when the Snake Eye player goes Diabell Star, Fiendsmith, and Snake Eye Ash, you get all 3 of them. They can't really do much else if you end on that. So it's still pretty good. Chaos Angel, of course. With the Bastiles, if you have no other play on the opponent's turn, and you only have like Trudea and Bastille, you can stand up to quick effect into the Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is still also pretty good because of Diabell. Scarlet for time, still not gonna not run that card with time rules. And the 3 White Force Girls, Diabell, Silvera, Rusiella, no reason to change those ratios. All of them are really good, all of them come up all the time. Zapper Shrimp, much better now too against like Yugioh and Tenpai, since they only have 1 copy of Opening and Song and Summoning. And against Stun, you'll see that matchup. And then Diabell, just summon this and pop a continuous when they want to activate a Floodgate, so it's still pretty good. You can also hit Runic Fountain. And then for the Link monsters, I cut out Tri-Edge Master in favor of Silhat Rabbit. I'm not main decking Azure, and I'm side decking it just to make sure I minimize bricks on game 1. But this is also a pretty good end board piece now because you don't really need to end on Auxilla anymore. You can hold it, or you can just use it as material and then phalanx it back. So I think running Silhat Rabbit as another end board piece is pretty good. I think even if I'm not main decking Azure Rune, there's going to be situations where I can argue making this on the end board without the continuous trap, as long as I have Centur-Ions in play. Because this spell trap effect, or spell trap pop effect, will still trigger off of the Centur-Ions. So, again, not a whole lot of changes to the extra deck there. I think Azure Rune is really the only one, and then obviously the other plays are for Calamity. And then for our side deck, 3 Mulch Army, I think this is still pretty good. It just stops some players from playing because they don't want you to get the advantage, or they'll just give you the mini game, especially against Ritual Beast. I think at the regional and indie, I drew 5 times against Ritual Beast because they just normal summon a lot. As I previously mentioned, I've got Ghost Ogre on the side. This is really good for siding against Tenpai, Yugioh. You can argue siding it against Snake Eye because you can hit the Oak, and that really screws up the play because they missed that body. Again, also argument to put this in the main deck over something like Ash Blossom, but I think Ash Blossom is just much more powerful now, given the limitation of cards like Song and Summoning, Snake Eye Ash, and Poplar. So I think doing them interchangeably is fine. You could probably argue some instances where you can get put both in the siding patterns. Cosmic for Floodgates, for again those 1-of spells that got limited. Any field spell deck that does trigger on activation. Gimmick Puppet. We got Tearlaments running around at locals with that Grassless Screener, so any spell trap removal. I think not running Duster is fine. There's not a whole lot of decks right now that are going to set a ton of back row, and usually you want Cosmic to be more reactive, so I think that's fine. As I previously mentioned, Azure Rune, and then the Zaki 1-of limited Floodgate, Seal Drain, and Anti-Spell. You can run both of them in this deck because of the White Force just sending them away, which is fine. I have, in theory, been thinking about running, instead of Azure Rune, running Apophis, a Swamp Deity, because that is a more reactive, continuous trap, and it can trigger, or it can count your Centurions in the back row. So if you have full Centurion combo with Silhat Rabbit and you put down Apophis, you get 2 negates off of your Centur-Ions in the back row, which is pretty good, but also Azuroon just can stop something from sticking to the board, so there's give and take for both, I think. Azuroon is less reactive because you have to activate it and then activate it again, and it can be impermed, it can be Veiler. Droplet because it's an effect monster. And then Evenly Matched, I think Evenly is, again, also really powerful in this format now. The only thing that can really stop it is either Varudras or Desiree. Now, if you're siding against Desiree, Ghost Ogre and Evenly is pretty good, or you can keep your Droplet in with Evenly. That also works against Varudras pretty well. And then it's also, Droplet Evenly is also good just against like any rogue deck that can put up a Spell Trap Negate. But yeah, that's kind of it for the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Any changes you think I should make, or any spicy texts you can think of here. Keep an eye out for more feature matches, and let me know if you want to see any more deck profiles. I got all kinds of cores sitting right here to my right. Dragon Ruler, Tenpai, Mimighoul, Gimmick Puppet, Sprite. I got all kinds of stuff. So let me know what you guys want to see, and I'll certainly throw together some deck profiles for you. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one.